Here's a question for you. Just how stupid are we? That is the title of a new book by a local author, historian, and I see this word attached to his name a lot, contrarian, Rick Shenkman. Rick, first of all, contrarian, does that bother you at all?
No, the three books that I wrote in the 1980s and 1990s were debunking American history, so because I was taking a dissenting view of American history, people started calling me a contrarian. That's fine, I'm happy. I'm in good company with H.L. Mencken and a lot of other famous people, so that's okay with me.
That is very good company. We talked to you before the election, and just wondering if you saw anything in the recent election that changed your minds about whether people are able to make good decisions, sort all the facts, and then choose issues, candidates, etc. Anything change your mind?
Well, I was certainly encouraged by the turnout of young people. They were excited about this election. That's a departure from the past, even though the numbers weren't as high as some people were hoping. Still, it was pretty good.
Yeah, we had a solid turnout, but we had nothing like the sort of groundswell, huge historic turnout that people were predicting. Many people were predicting, especially the young voters. They talked a lot, we heard a lot about it, but they really didn't come out in dramatically bigger numbers.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's better than it was in 2004, and 2004 was better than it was in 2000, but they're still not voting in the same numbers as, for instance, the majority of other Americans. And the majority of other Americans aren't voting at a particularly high turnout rate. So altogether, no, it's not terribly great news, but it's encouraging news. Well, but here's the thing for me, you know, this campaign was distressing to the extreme. It was fought over mostly trivial issues. The kinds of issues that were susceptible to public debate were the Barack Obama, Michelle Obama fist bump, Hillary knocking back a drink in a bar, Barack Hussein Obama, is he a socialist? I mean, the level of the debate was distressingly low, particularly considering all of the enormous challenges.
Well, is that the responsibility of the voters, or is that the responsibility of the media? Is that the responsibility of the mechanisms by which they're getting their information? Are we to blame for that kind of stuff?
Well, I always argue that you get the government you deserve. You also get the campaign you deserve. If we had a nation of smart voters, we'd have smarter campaigns. The media are not dumbing down the level of public debate because the voters out there are smart. They are dumbing it down because the voters are usually fairly inattentive to politics.
Now, wait, but you could say fairly inattentive to politics, but what you say in the book is stupid. Well, so let's talk about the stupidity of the voters. Are voters stupid, or are they just busy? They have other things going on in their world.
Let me just make this straight right at the beginning here. Okay. I don't argue that the American voters are stupid. I think it would be stupid to say that, as stupid as saying the American voters are smart. I don't think you can glibly generalize about 300 million people that way. But I do argue in the book that they are grossly uninformed, and we have all kinds of evidence for that. And if you just look at some of the numbers that came out just recently, the Los Angeles Times did a poll of the battleground states of Florida and Ohio. Nearly a majority in both of those states, right on the eve of the election, believed that Obama either was a Muslim or they weren't sure what religion he was. Now, how is that possible after all the debate we had about his pastor? What was all that controversy about if he wasn't at least a Christian? But they didn't get that. That's almost 50% in battleground states which have been saturated with media coverage. In Texas, 25% believe that he's a Muslim. Now, this is a problem in a democracy where the people are driving the public debate.
Well, now, this brings you to another very important step in terms of your philosophy, I think. The way I see it, or filter it anyway, is that you seem to be saying that there is a certain sort of subgroup of Americans who are qualified to make the big important decisions in our democracy and in our lives, and maybe we should just leave that decision-making to them.
I don't want to shrink our democracy. I don't want to have a literacy test before people are allowed to vote. I want to expand the democracy, but I want to live in a country of smart voters. It seems to me that if we can get people to change their seatbelt habits, not throw trash from their cars, which are social changes that have taken place over the last 40 years in response to public campaigns and such, that we ought to be able to get people to pay some attention to politics. Enough attention so that when they are casting their ballot, they're casting an informed ballot. Right now, really, the only thing that they get is kind of the biggest of big pictures. Has the incumbent incumbent party failed or succeeded. Why did Barack Obama win this election? He won because the American people sat back and they basically got that big picture. They understood George Bush has not had a successful presidency, so they wanted to vote him out and they vote in the opposition party. That's about it.
What about the concept that people in a democracy have a right to not participate, to not care, to not engage if they want to? This, by the way, is an argument I used to have with my dad when I was much, much younger, in my teens. Look, I don't have to care if I don't want to. That's my right too. What about that?
Well, let me give you the glib answer. The glib answer is move to Russia. There, you know, Mr. Putin is happy to make all the decisions for you, and the people don't really have to bother themselves about politics. You want to live in this country, you've got to pay attention. The Founding Fathers prefaced the whole government on the assumption that people were going to be paying attention. Thomas Jefferson, 2 centuries ago, said, anybody who thinks that freedom and ignorance go hand in hand thinks something that never was and never will be true. It's impossible. The thing doesn't work. This is an experiment. In the whole history of the world, democracy has not had a very long lifespan. If we want to treat it with indifference and apathy, it's not going to last.
All right, so there is no constitutionally guaranteed right to apathy in this case. Fascinating topic, fascinating subject. Book looks like a really good read. Rick Shenkman, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll be right back on Up Front.